Why we forget things, the science of memory and forgetting. Welcome back to Army. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly forgotten why you went there? Have you ever forgotten someone's name just seconds after hearing it? Or spent several frustrating minutes trying to remember where you left your keys? If so, you're not alone. Many people believe that forgetting is a sign of a poor memory or even a sign that something is wrong with the brain. But according to modern neuroscience, forgetting is not only normal, it is actually one of the brain's most important abilities. Today, Army will explore why humans forget, what happens inside the brain when memories disappear, and why forgetting is essential for learning, decision-making, and even survival. To understand forgetting, we first need to understand how memories are created. Every second, your eyes, ears, skin, nose, and other senses send an enormous amount of information to your brain. Scientists estimate that the human brain receives millions of bits of sensory information every second. Obviously, the brain cannot keep everything. If it tried to store every sound, every face, every conversation, and every tiny detail of every day, your memory system would quickly become overloaded. Instead, the brain acts like an intelligent filter. It constantly asks one important question: is this information important enough to keep? Only a very small percentage of information survives this filtering process. The rest disappears naturally. Psychologists call this selective attention, and it is the first step of memory formation. One of the pioneers who studied forgetting was the German psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus in the 19th century. He spent years performing memory experiments on himself, learning thousands of meaningless syllables and measuring how quickly he forgot them. His research led to one of the most famous discoveries in psychology, the forgetting curve. Ebbinghaus found that forgetting happens surprisingly quickly. Without review or repetition, people can forget a large portion of newly learned information within the first 24 hours. However, every time information is reviewed, the memory becomes stronger and lasts much longer. More than 100 years later, modern neuroscience continues to support many of Ebbinghaus's findings. Scientists now know that memories are stored through changes in the connections between neurons. Every time you learn something new, certain neural pathways become stronger, but pathways that are rarely used gradually become weaker. This follows a simple biological principle: the brain strengthens what it uses and removes what it doesn't. This process is called synaptic pruning. Researchers believe synaptic pruning helps the brain remain efficient by removing unnecessary neural connections. Imagine if your phone saved every temporary file forever. Eventually, it would slow down. The brain works in a similar way. By removing less useful information, it creates space and energy for new learning. Sleep also plays an important role in deciding which memories survive. Research from Harvard Medical School and other neuroscience laboratories has shown that during deep sleep, the brain reorganizes memories. Important experiences become stronger. Less meaningful information gradually fades away. This means forgetting is not always a failure. Sometimes it is an active biological decision made by the brain. Stress can also affect memory. When cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, remains high for long periods, it can interfere with the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for forming new memories. This is one reason why people often forget things during periods of intense stress or anxiety. Age is another factor. As people grow older, communication between neurons becomes slower. However, scientists emphasize that occasional forgetting is a normal part of aging and does not necessarily indicate diseases such as Alzheimer's. In fact, research suggests that staying physically active, learning new skills, maintaining social relationships, and getting enough sleep can help protect memory throughout life. One fascinating discovery in recent years is that forgetting may actually improve decision-making. If the brain remembered every tiny detail equally, making decisions would become incredibly difficult. Instead, the brain stores patterns rather than every individual experience. This allows humans to recognize situations quickly and respond efficiently. In other words, forgetting helps us focus on what truly matters. So the next time you forget where you left your glasses or struggle to remember a small detail, don't immediately assume your brain is failing. In many cases, your brain is simply doing exactly what evolution designed it to do. In conclusion, this is Army speaking. Memory is not about remembering everything. True intelligence lies in knowing what is worth keeping and what can safely be forgotten. Your brain is not a storage box. It is a living system that constantly edits, organizes, and updates itself to help you survive and adapt to an ever-changing world. Thank you for watching Army.